after the smoke of Sodom had faded into the horizon. After the trembling of God's judgment had finally settled, Abraham moved on. He journeyed south toward the arid region of the Negev, the weight of all he had seen pressing upon his shoulders. The memory of God's perfect justice, the miracle of God's profound mercy, and the image of his nephew, Lot, rescued from the very brink of destruction. He set up his tents between Kadesh and Shur, a temporary pause in a life of wandering, before eventually settling in the land of Gerar. This was a Philistine territory, a kingdom ruled by a man named Abimelech. Now, standing in this new land, surrounded by unfamiliar faces and foreign customs, a familiar, cold fear began to creep back into Abraham's heart. It was a fear he thought he had left behind, a weakness he had wrestled with before. He looked at the people of Gerar. He saw their strength, their fortifications, their king, and he listened to the whisper of his own anxiety. Surely, he thought to himself, there is no fear of God in this place. They will see the beauty of my wife, Sarah, and they will kill me to take her. It's a thought born of human logic, not divine promise. For a moment, the man who had walked and talked with God, the man who was promised descendants as numerous as the stars, forgot the power of his protector. And so Abraham made a choice. A fearful choice, a very human choice. To everyone who asked, to everyone who inquired, he repeated the old lie, the half-truth that was a whole deception. She is my sister. History has a strange way of repeating itself, especially when our hearts haven't fully learned the lesson. Just as it had happened years before in Egypt, the beauty of Sarah did not go unnoticed. Word of her grace and elegance reached the royal palace, and King Abimelech, acting according to the custom of the time, sent for her and took her into his house, not with violence or by force, but with the full intention of making her his wife, believing she was an unmarried woman, the sister of the newcomer Abraham. Night fell over the city of Gerar. The palace grew quiet, the sounds of the day fading into the stillness of sleep. But in the heavens, there was no silence. In the realm of the Spirit, a divine intervention was unfolding. God himself appeared to Abimelech in a dream. It wasn't a vague vision or a confusing symbol. It was a direct, clear, and terrifying message. A voice that shook the king's very soul spoke into the darkness. You are as good as dead. The woman you have taken is another man's wife. Abimelech's sleep was shattered. He woke up, his heart pounding not just with fear of death, but with a profound sense of shock and injustice. He was a king, a man who prided himself on righteousness and leading his people well. He hadn't sought to commit adultery. He had been deceived. He cried out to God in the darkness of his room, his voice a mixture of terror and pleading. Lord, will you destroy an innocent nation? Did I not do this with a clear conscience? He himself told me, she is my sister. And she, even she, said, he is my brother. My heart was clear, and my hands are clean. The response from God was not a blast of thunder, but a gentle correction, a clarification filled with both power and grace. Yes, God replied in the dream, "I know you did this with a clear heart. I know you were innocent in your intentions. In fact, it was I who kept you from sinning against me. That is why I did not let you touch her. Now then, you must return the woman to her husband. He is a prophet. He will pray for you and you will live. But if you do not return her, know for sure that you and everyone in your household will certainly die." As the first light of dawn broke over the hills of Gerar, Abimelech wasted no time. The dream was not something to be dismissed or pondered over breakfast. It was an urgent, divine command. He immediately summoned all of his officials, his servants, his entire court. He stood before them and recounted every detail of the dream, the voice of God, the warning, the truth about Sarah. And as the story spread through the palace, a great fear fell upon everyone. It wasn't the fear of their king, Abimelech. It was the fear of Abraham's God. They suddenly realized they were in the presence of a power far greater than any earthly kingdom. Then Abimelech summoned Abraham. The king's voice was steady, but you could hear the wound, the sense of betrayal. He looked Abraham in the eye and asked the question that hung heavy in the air. "What have you done to us? What offense did I commit against you that you would bring such great guilt upon me and my kingdom? You have done things to me that should not be done," he continued, his questions cutting straight to the heart of the matter. "What were you thinking? What drove you to do such a thing?" Abraham, the friend of God, the father of faith, stood shamed before a pagan king. He lowered his eyes. There were no excuses, only the plain, unvarnished truth of his own weakness. He explained his fear, his flawed reasoning. "I thought to myself," he confessed, "there is surely no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife." He then added the technicality, the half-truth that he and Sarah had agreed upon long ago, that she was indeed his half-sister. But he knew, and Abimelech knew, that fear is a poor guide for a man of faith. In that moment, Abraham's mistake was laid bare for all to see. But what happened next is truly remarkable. Abimelech, the wronged king, had every right to be furious, to banish Abraham, to punish him for the deception and the danger he had brought upon the entire kingdom. But instead of reacting with anger, he responded with astonishing generosity and grace. He acted not out of his own wounded pride, but out of a newfound fear and respect for Abraham's God. He returned Sarah to Abraham, safe and untouched. But he didn't stop there. He gave Abraham sheep and cattle, and male and female servants as a gift. And then he made an incredible offer. He motioned to the lands stretching out before them and said to Abraham, "My land is before you. Live wherever you please." He was not just tolerating Abraham, he was welcoming him, honoring him, despite the deception. Then the king turned to Sarah. In front of Abraham and all his officials, he said, "Look, I am giving your brother 1,000 shekels of silver." This wasn't a payment or a bribe. It was a public act of vindication. he continued. "This is to cover the offense against you before all who are with you. You are completely vindicated." He was clearing her name, making it known to everyone that she was honorable and that no blame fell on her. He was restoring her dignity publicly. And then the roles reversed. Abraham, the one who had caused the crisis, became the instrument of its resolution. There, in the presence of the king and the people of Gerar, Abraham the prophet prayed for Abimelech. He interceded for the household that his fear had endangered. And God heard his prayer. The scripture tells us that God healed Abimelech and his wife and his female servants so they could have children again. For the Lord had closed all the wombs in Abimelech's household because of Abraham's wife Sarah. It was a moment of divine reset, a powerful restoration. This story is a profound lesson in fear and in trust. It's a humbling reminder that even the greatest heroes of faith can stumble. Even a man like Abraham, who walked with God, could let fear cloud his judgment and lead him to repeat old mistakes. But more than that, it is a testament to the unwavering faithfulness of God. God's covenant, his promise to Abraham, could not be broken. It could not be derailed by the schemes of foreign kings, by the mistakes of a fearful prophet, or even by Abraham's own deep-seated anxieties. For even when Abraham wavered, even when his faith faltered, God remained faithful. He protected Sarah, he corrected Abimelech, he disciplined Abraham, and in the end, he brought healing and blessing out of a situation that could have ended in disaster. It shows us that our security is not in our own perfect faith, but in the perfect faithfulness of our God. Thanks for watching. If this story blessed you, please consider subscribing for more journeys through the scriptures. We'll see you in the next video.